Today I was just thinking about, Baba is giving this swaman to us, that we are spiritual social workers. And on one hand, I see that Baba looks at his children so highly. Yes, he looks at us with so much of hope and faith. And Baba has this deep faith in us that we are the ones who will bring heaven on earth. And on the other hand, I sometimes see children and I see that they don't, even children who listen to the Murli every day, they don't quite get what Baba is saying, and they still continue to stay in very low consciousness. And I just want to address some things today which I'm observing and which is being brought to light by situations. So, there's this one brother, and he was telling me that his mother is old, and because his mother is old, so she needs a lot of taking care of, and she gets really cranky whenever the brother has to leave the house and go, and whenever he comes, she starts complaining. And then he said that I get very bitter sometimes, and yesterday I shouted at her, and I said, if you behave like this, if you keep complaining, then I will not come to you, and I cannot deal with all this. So I just asked that brother one question. I said, forget she is your mother. Forget everything. Just think about you being entrusted with a patient. There's a patient around you, and that patient is old and cranky. So what would you do? Would you abandon that patient? So let's say there's somebody, maybe even not related by blood, but according to circumstances, you are with a person who is old and ailing and cannot take care of themselves. So would you just abandon them and leave them on the street, even with a person who you don't even know? So I said, no, you are human, so you can't do that. So I said, then what would you do? So I said, I would just do the needful, just give them whatever is needed to sustain them physically. So I said, you see, that's your natural instinct, isn't it? So when somebody is old and ailing around you and they are not able to take care of themselves, you just physically support them, and you are a Brahmin child. So spiritual support is not something you give according to need. It's something you give to everybody. So staying peaceful, staying happy, and giving a physical support, a needful support, not that, you just immerse your life in it or anything, but whatever is needed, you will give it, right? And that's humanity. That's not about being a son or being a daughter. That's just being human. And wouldn't you do that much? So he said, yes, but she complains and she cribs. So she said, so I said, is that relevant? Whether she's complaining or she's saying thank you, is that relevant? Because you are doing what you are doing because that's the most natural and instinctive thing to do in this situation, is it not? Or would you do something else So if she was very nice to you, would you take care? And if she was very bitter, would you abandon? So are you doing something because she's being nice to you, or because she is unwell? So because she's unwell, you are taking care. It's not about she being nice or she being rude. It's about she being unwell. So since she is unwell, it's a natural instinct in you to take care. And when you're taking care, she will be herself, but that's not your problem. Yes, that's not your problem. That's just something you do because that's humanity. Yes, so somebody is hungry, you don't, so it's not like somebody is hungry and they're sitting in front of you and you will not offer them food and just eat away. Will you do that? Now, how does it matter whether they say thank you or whether they say the food tasted awful? It doesn't matter, because you are doing what is your sanskar. And this little thing, that we are doing everything because that's our sanskar, and we don't need anybody's gratitude, or we don't need anybody being even normal or nice to us to do what we are doing because of our sanskar. And we are deity souls. We are deity souls, and Baba says that it is your natural instinct, even if you are not aware of it right now. Slowly, gradually, as we do yoga, as we become pure, it becomes very obvious to us that even doing world service, being a spiritual server for the whole of humanity, is a natural instinct in us. It's something that comes to us naturally, because that's a sanskar that I, the soul, have in me. So, in a limited environment, is it natural for me to be sweet and polite and happy and peaceful and humble, despite whatever? How does that matter? So everybody will be themselves according to their sanskar, but what is my sanskar? And am I doing something because the other person deserves it or the other person is eligible? No, I'm being sweet and soft because it is my sanskar. It is not my sanskar to yell and scream, so why would I do that? And how does it matter whether the other person is being soft or they are yelling? I am just behaving like me, and that's the most natural thing to do. So how does that become a problem if somebody else is not nice? So this is something that we need to understand, and it's not, and Baba looks at us so highly, that these children will take the responsibility of bringing heaven on earth. But okay, that is something that we will do, even if not today, we'll do it tomorrow. But let me see what I am doing today, and let me see that is it in consonance with what I now know about myself? Am I behaving according to my original nature? My nature is helpful, my nature is loveful, my nature is giving. I'm a giver, I'm a deity soul. So how can I be nasty and rude, and how can I, why should I get upset? So I'm doing what I'm doing because that's the most natural thing to do. So this is something that we need to understand. And Baba says that don't look at anybody else's weakness, because weakness is very infectious. The moment you look at it, it becomes your weakness. So when you look at somebody's weakness, it's very interesting that the moment you look at it, it stops becoming just that person's weakness it starts becoming your weakness also. You look at anybody's anger, you listen to anybody's angry words, those words start having a reaction in you. You look at anybody's ego, your ego is getting triggered. So Baba says, don't look at anybody. Do everything on Shrimat. Shrimat says, I am a knowledgeful, pure, peaceful, loveful, happy, blissful, powerful soul. So I have to behave like myself. And in any situation, I have to ask myself, what is an act of a knowledgeful, loveful, peaceful soul here? So I am a knowledgeful, peaceful, loveful soul. I am being nurtured and sustained by Baba. So what is the natural act of somebody who is knowledgeful, peaceful, loveful in this situation? And whether somebody is weak or somebody is strong, it doesn't matter to me. I do not have to look at the context of who the other person is. I just have to look at who I am and do what makes sense to me, because now I know who I am. So this is something that I've been observing. And the second thing is, every day Baba is telling us that this is the end, you have 63 births of karmic accounts, and there will be settled, this is the time of settlement. And we listen to all of that, and then some little unfavorable situation around me, and I start to say, I have tolerated it for so long. And I start saying that, it's a miserable condition. So we perhaps don't realize what kind of Kali Yuga it is and how fortunate we are. So, Baba's children are very, very fortunate. And there's this one Mata, and her husband got transferred to another place, and he's not even transferred to some far off land. He's just at a distance of earlier it was a distance of 3 hours travel, now it's a distance of 6 hours travel, and he is able to visit her. Now maybe it's a 6-hour drive, so maybe in 15 days he will visit. When it was a 3-hour drive, he used to visit every week. And that Mata was crying like hell yesterday, and she said that he's got transferred, and it's so difficult to manage here, and now he will not be able to come every weekend also, and then I'm in trouble. And I was just wondering, are these Baba's children? Because you see, you have food on your plate and everything is fine, you have a job and things are all good. What more can you ask at this time of settlement? You see, Baba tells us that in this time you have to operate with yoga power. And here it's not just yoga power. We have the power of wealth also, we have the power of health also. It's not like we are not in that situation where we are just operating with yoga power. Right now there is a body, you have physical health on your side, you have resources on your side, and still if you're miserable, then probably you don't understand Gyan, you don't understand that this is the last phase of Kali Yuga, and this is the worst that it can get. And what are you expecting? Are you expecting that all your attachments will be fulfilled and husband will always stay near you and you will never have to? And I have a friend, and he got married, and his wife is staying, like, it's been ever since they got married. I think it was just two months after that they got posted in different places. They are both bank employees, and they could post it in different places. And I think, now the children are growing up, and they are 13, 14, 15 years of age, and still these people, these two, have not had an opportunities to stay together. So they've been apart all their lives, and he's not even in Gyan, but I have never seen him complain. He has never told me, all these years, he has never told me that I couldn't stay with my wife ever, or his wife also, they are. So even education gives you this kind of an outlook, where you are able to do your job and stay where you are. And here we are, Baba's children, complaining about this. And I was just thinking yesterday, that Baba is giving us too much. And sometimes it feels, that children are not appreciating it. Baba is giving us the Murli. Baba is giving us the method of Raj Yoga, and it is so powerful. But are we applying it and building that power? Because if we build that power, then at least this one thing would stop complaint. If we are still complaining, that means that we have not understood anything. And I think, Baba's children, I don't know what they can do, but at least they cannot complain. So, if you're complaining, then that's not Baba's child. Because, even this little understanding that I am doing what is my sanskar, and I am getting in return according to the law of karma. Yesterday Baba said, you are in the field of action, and whatever you do, you will get it back. So why complain when you're doing something? You're doing something because it makes sense, and you're doing it, and you will get it in return. Why are you after, that person, that you have to be polite to me and sweet to me, only then I'll do it for you? So you do it because that's who you are. And the second thing is, have gratitude. Have gratitude that in this world, in this time, you have enough. Don't complain about little things which are not okay. Even if something is not okay, that's okay. There's no issue about it. And in this field of seva, it's been some years, and I have listened to the stories of misery that people are going through, and if we had a little idea of what Kali Yuga is like and what pain is like, we would never complain. So we don't know what kind of pain people are going through in Kali Yuga, and we are Baba's children, and it is not our destiny to endure that kind of pain. We are very well off. We have yoga power, we have the power of knowledge, we have the power of purity, we have the power of, good wishes with us. We are not suffering like the world is suffering. And if we are still suffering, it's just because we are not being good children of Baba. We are not taking what Baba is giving. So that is something that we need to look deeply into, because when I see these things, I really feel sometimes that, Baba is having the hope that we would change the world. And here we are in the same place that we were 10 years back, and we are waiting for others to change, and the job to change, and the transfer to happen, and the children to behave a certain way. So are we waiting or creating? The world is waiting, and waiting for whom? The creators. And here the creators are also waiting. Then who will create? So this is a question we need to ask, and just start taking your fortune and your responsibility that Baba has given us enough fortune, and now it's time to take up responsibility and not just keep cribbing, complaining and expecting even now. That is what Agyanis do. We don't do that. So Today, Baba says that, you are spiritual social workers, and Baba says that you are the ones who have to create heaven. And do you understand? It's a big task, a task that needs everything, and a task that needs spiritual availability, physical availability, financial availability, availability of a good mind, a good buddhi, everything. This big task requires a lot of contribution from our part. But how will we do that? So Baba says the most important thing in this is the power of yoga. And I was just thinking about this power of yoga. So, when we sit in yoga, the first thing that we know is I'm a soul, and a soul is Baba's child. And when I sit in the awareness that I am a soul, who is the soul? A soul is the child of God. And I sit in the awareness that I am separate from this body, and I am the child of the Almighty. And in that awareness, so who can you have yoga with? Can you have yoga with somebody you have no relationship with? Can you have yoga with? Can you constantly remember somebody you don't have a relationship with? No. So, the most important foundation for yoga is a relationship. And Baba says that when you consider yourself to be a soul, then what is soul consciousness? So when Baba says that forget the body, forget the bodily relations, bodily religions, and just come to your swadharam, your original quality. So what is my original stage? My original stage is a stage of awareness where I am at peace, and I know that all my relationships are with Baba, and I am the child of God. And in that sense of relationship, my heart is connected to Baba. And when my heart is connected to Baba, then Baba is the ocean of virtues and powers, and I also come to that experience that I am also a master ocean of virtues and powers. So, in this yoga with Baba, you come to that realization that you are Baba's child and you're just like Baba. And being like Baba is a very powerful place to be. And only when you know that you're like Baba, you think like Baba, you speak like Baba, you act like Baba. And what does thinking like Baba look like? What does speaking like Baba look like? So when you think like Baba, you will have a big heart, and you will think about the spiritual well-being of every soul in the world. You will think about what I can do to uplift the spiritual stage of every soul in the world. You will look at every soul as a soul, and you will try to alleviate their suffering through your, just like Baba alleviates our suffering by giving true knowledge, by creating an environment of purity, peace, love, and sustaining us with that, we would also do the same. So Baba says we need to understand that yoga power is a very big power, and if we don't use this power, or if we don't have yoga with Baba, then how are we? We are in very low consciousness, and we are not creators, we are only consumers in this low consciousness. So Baba says Shifting from a beggar to a giver is all about having yoga with Baba. So just ask yourself, how many minutes in a day, or do you even sit in this awareness that I'm a soul and I'm Baba's child and I'm just like my Baba. So when you sit in this awareness that just like my Baba is the ocean, I'm also the master ocean, and you come to, you create that consciousness where you are like Baba. And in that consciousness, you remember what is your original attitude, your original sanskar, and how should you actually behave. So Baba says, if you sat in yoga continuously for 7 days, today Baba says, if you had continuous yoga for 7 days, if you just remembered Baba for 7 days without interference of anybody's remembrance, then Baba says that would work wonders. But Baba says that no child is able to do, because there's so much interference from remembering the body, remembering this person, that person, and the other person. And I think if we just remembered Baba, then every Shrimat would start making sense to us. So if we remembered Baba, then whatever Baba says would not be difficult. It would be the most natural thing to do. And sometimes we listen to Shrimat, we pay attention to Shrimat, but the most important Shrimat that Baba gives us is, consider yourself to be a soul and remember me. And we don't do that. And if we don't do that, then no Shrimat makes sense to us. And we listen to the Murli, but every point in the Murli, every direction that Baba is giving us just appears to be very difficult to put into practice. Why? Because we don't have yoga power. That lock on our intellect is not open, it's closed. So then even the Murli doesn't make sense to us. And sometimes children also say, Baba's children who listen to the Murli, who know Baba, who have been given the introduction, they also say that we feel like the Murli is about something and our problems are different. So we feel that Baba is saying something else and our practical problems are different. So why does the Murli not make sense to us? Because we are not on the same page with Baba. And why are we not on the same page? Because we are body conscious. And we are, we are making effort where there cannot be a result. And Baba is talking about making effort where there can be result. But for 2500 years, we have done absolutely this. Made effort where there is no result. And that's our sanskar. And we keep doing that. And we think that, somewhere the solution lies there. But Baba says, no, that solution doesn't lie there. So Baba tells us now that you cannot solve the physical problems of the world through physical methods. Yes, so the physical problems of the world need a spiritual solution now. And in order to give a spiritual solution, you have to first position yourself in your spiritual power. And that can only happen when you remember Baba in the method Baba tells you to. So when you just unplug your attention from everything and perceive yourself as Baba's child, full of the virtues and powers that Baba has, when you start seeing yourself like that, then you will start seeing not the problems, but you will start figuring out the solutions in every place. Yes, and this is what Baba is saying, that the most important thing is yoga. And then Baba says purity is very important, and without purity, Gyan will not make sense to us, or Srimad will not make sense to us. But even the basis of purity is yoga, because you see, Baba today says that the sannyasis, they call out to Baba and they say that, you are the purifier, you come. But the sannyasis, they remain celibate. So even after remaining celibate, they know that celibacy is not enough. So Baba says that purity is much more than celibacy. And Baba says only you know the method to purity. So when in celibacy you remember Baba, then you become pure. And when you start becoming pure, then everything in the Murli, every Srimad that Baba gives, it starts making sense and also sounds achievable to you. And at that time you start doing it and you get the return, and you become a real social worker who makes the world heaven. And Baba today says that the formula for peace is very easy. Just detach from the senses and sit. Just know that you are not the body, and just sit detached. I am a soul, that's it. That's peace. But Baba says, how long can you sit like this? Can you just keep detaching all day? The boss said something, the child said something, the wife said something, keep detaching, detaching, detaching. How much will you detach? So Baba says, don't just detach, recharge. So when you're soul conscious, remember Baba. Remember Baba and come to that place of power. And then you will be able to be peaceful in every situation, come what may. You will not have to detach and sit. You will be peaceful amidst every situation. So this is something that Baba is directing us to do. So I think, having yoga is very important. Otherwise, I told you about so many things, and it's always that same complaint, same everything. And even Baba's children are doing the same thing. So that means, there's lack of yoga power. Because if there is yoga power, then dealing with situations and doing world seva is child's play. It will be nothing for you. It will make a perfect sense to you, and it will look like the most natural thing to do. And it will be very easy for you, because yoga power means you are the Master Almighty. You're with Baba, you're the Master Almighty. And for a Master Almighty, doing world seva is the most natural and easy thing to do. So this is something. And today Baba says something very interesting from the Shastras, and he says that, it is shown that Shri Krishna was born in Kanspuri. So, Shri Krishna was born where Kans ruled. And then his father carried him in a basket to Krishnapuri. Yes, so he took him across the river. Now Baba says, this is a very symbolic episode, and Baba says that same Sri Krishna's soul is now Brahma Baba, and that Brahma Baba is being carried by his father Shiv Baba across this hell to heaven. And Baba says, I am taking that child, that Shri Krishna soul, across this river of hell to Krishnapuri, to heaven, and I am not Nand Baba, I am Shiv Baba. So Baba says this is the episode, and Baba says they show a river, but it's not the river of water, it's the river of hell through which I am carrying you across. And Baba says it's not just one Shri Krishna soul, it's all you children that I'm carrying across this river of hell. And Baba says there is this spiritual explanation to all the stories that you have heard. And just think about how much of, how you felt when you saw Sri Krishna's father carrying him across. Even when we saw it on screen or read it in the scripture, we felt so good about it. It was exhilarating. And Baba says, now imagine that same episode is happening with you. Just think about it. That same episode, which was happening with someone else, could make you feel so happy. And now that same episode is happening with you. I'm that child and I'm in Kanspuri and Baba is carrying me to Krishnapuri. So just think about this whole episode and it'll give you goosebumps. And Baba says, all these things that you've enjoyed listening to, these stories, they are your stories. And when we say history is his story. But now Baba is telling us my story. And Baba says all that you read in the mythology or history is actually your story. And when you listen to your story, just imagine your story is so beautiful that God comes and takes me across from Kalyug to Satyug. And just dwell on these points. When you dwell on these points, you feel the happiness of Sangam Yuga. So, we always thought that all these characters and these incidents, they happened in somebody else's life, but they are practically happening here. And then Baba today says that, they show a picture of Brahma emerging from Vishnu's navel and Vishnu emerging from Brahma's navel. But now you know that it's not about emerging from a navel, it's about that same soul which was the Sri Narayan, Sri Krishna soul, that after 84 births becomes Brahma Baba, and this same Brahma Baba becomes Vishnu in the next birth. So Baba says it's about this change of costume and birth. It's not about emerging from a navel. And Baba says now you know all the secrets about what a war is about. So in the Shastras they say there was this Mahabharat war, but you know that the war is not physical, the war is with Ravan. So these are the things that Baba reminds us in the Murli, and the Murli is very interesting. Read it many times during the day. Om Shanti.